Today's Lunch and Learn is about money mindset. I wanted to talk to you about this week because it's so incredibly important. If we don't have the right money mindset, we are not going to be able to charge the right amount for our services. That sales conversation is always going to feel awkward and icky. Um, Generally, it's going to be harder to grow your business and keep it sustainable and financially viable. So money mindset is absolutely critical for this. And I have to say, I think most people, 95% of people, are going to have to work on this, me included. It's something that is very common in most entrepreneurs. However comfortable you are with that money conversation, there's always some kind of underlying limiting belief or whatever coming from many places. We have beliefs about money that can really sabotage our business development. Now, these beliefs are ingrained in us. They're like most limiting belief, inner critic voices, whatever you want to call them. They come mostly from childhood or from our own experiences or from the people around us generally. And they can be very, very deep rooted depending on what kind of beliefs they are and where they came from. So some of these things may be familiar to you. So I'm going to go over some common beliefs that you may have grown up with or experienced yourself. So money is dirty, or it's the root of all evil. And that's a common one, isn't it? It's wrong somehow. It's scarce. It's too hard to make. It's not for me and my people or my community. It takes money to make money. There's not enough money to go around. Rich people are greedy, unhappy, unkind, lonely. Money causes conflict. It takes people away. It's easily lost. It doesn't grow on trees. How many times have we heard that one? If any of these kind of beliefs, and that's all they are, they're thoughts and beliefs, if any of them resonate with you, so you may have flinched at a couple of those, that's when you know it's something that's deep rooted within you and you need to work on it. Because if you don't work on it, it's going to come up time and time again in terms of anything to do with money. So that's maybe your personal situation, but certainly in your business conversations and your business growth. So the first step is awareness. So if you can work out where these beliefs are coming from, if you can go back to that time when, for instance, maybe it was your mum or your dad said, money doesn't grow on trees, or you may have not had enough when you were growing up, or you may have had too much and it got lost somehow, or maybe it took a parent away because they were working so hard. Whatever it was, there's always something. Just be aware of it. Go back and work out, okay, where did I first start believing that was true? And then you can decide how you take that forward. So awareness is absolutely key. Just like the work on inner critics, once you're aware, you can then decide to follow that particular belief or not and reverse it. The truth is, and this is one that many people will disagree with me about in the beginning. I say to them, I actually think that money increases your happiness, and they'll say, well, no, I can be happy without money, and that is absolutely true. You can be, but the absolute truth is that money can most definitely increase your happiness. They've done studies on this, and the people with more money generally tend to be happier, despite what we might believe about what money does to certain people, because we see the negative stories, don't we? We don't always see the positive. So why does money increase happiness? We think about it. Money gives you freedom, it gives you time, and it gives you opportunities to do more things that make you happy, and they increase the happiness of those around you. So whether that's spending time with your friends and family, whether it's traveling, whether it's contributing to charity, doing things you love, whatever it is, the more money you have, the more happy things you can do in your life for you and for other people. And that includes contribution, charitable works, etc. So when people say to me, I don't care about money, it's not a thing for me, it's not a value, I can be happy without it. Yeah, absolutely. But you're going to be a lot happier when you've got it, because then you can do more stuff. Does that make sense? So we kind of have to embrace the fact that money can actually bring more joy. And this definitely applies to your business as well. The more money you make in your business, the more people you're going to be able to help. And that's what we're all in it for, right? We're all in it to help more people. And that is just a fact. The more money you have available to you, the more people you can help through advertising, reaching more people, creating more resources that maybe people that can't afford your one-to-one work can use, like online programs or charitable stuff. You can help, you can grow your business to reach more people. And that is the whole point of, for me, of making money in the business, is to be able to do that and choose. It gives you more choice and freedom about where you want to spend that money and what charities you want to support. Or you can make your own, create your own charity if you wanted to. But also, to create more money for yourself so that you can do more things that make you happy and your family and your friends. So that is what the money thing is all about. That's what money mindset is. And we want to have an abundant mindset. That doesn't mean we want to be frivolous with our money or get into debt by spending too much. But abundant mentality is a whole thing. That's not just about spending money. So how to cultivate this abundant mindset is where you should be really focusing. So I've got some tips for you to start you off, and then some resources that you might want to follow up if this is a thing for you. First thing to do, and this is a daily practice, is to focus on gratitude. Appreciate what you have now. So you may not be a millionaire, you may not be making tons of money in your business, but you're better off than the majority of people in the whole world. 80% of the world live on £10 a day, $10 a day even, it's like £7 a day. So you are in the top 20% in terms of wealth in this world. So that is something to be grateful for. If you've got shelter, you've got a house, you've got some kind of family support, you've got food, and you've got some money in the bank to pay your bills, you are in a really good place. So be very appreciative of what you have already. Oprah said, be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate what you don't have, you will never have enough. Love that. Second thing is to be generous. So the more you give, the more you receive. I'm not just talking about money, but your time, your effort, your love, whatever that is. If you contribute more, especially when you can't afford it, when you haven't got the time or the energy or the money, do it anyway. It's counterintuitive, but it actually tells the universe that you're abundant, that you have an abundant mindset. You will get rewarded. It's the natural balance of things. Give more, you receive more. Marie Forleo talks about money mindset. She says every time she parts with money, whether it's to pay a bill or she buys something in a shop, she says to herself, there's always more where that came from. So every time she spends money, she says she has a little affirmation to herself. She doesn't feel bad about spending the money. She says there's always more where that came from. And that is typical of the abundant mindset. So we need to be abundant rather than lack. Next thing to do is to put money away in a little pot for fun stuff or luxury goods, whatever your thing is, whether it's shoes, bags, trips, travel, going to the theatre, whatever your thing is, create a little fund for that and put away what you can. Obviously, it may not be much, but I want you to put away, when you see a client, put away 10%, for instance. That should be your little treat fund. And treat yourself when you have a win. So you've got to celebrate your goals, your wins. When you win, even if they're really small wins, like just little baby steps, your first client, your first 100 clients, your first talk, celebrate those goals and treat yourself when you get something like that, because that is the whole point of creating goals. Because if there's no reward, you're not going to be that motivated to get there. Mine is a little spa fund. I have a spa fund, so I treat myself to a little treatment or a spa day or something like that when I have a big win. The next tip is to educate yourself. So there are plenty books on money mindset. It's a thing. Everybody has it. So there are lots of books. A couple of my favorites are Jen Sincero's You're a Badass at Making Money. Yes, it's very American. Oh, it's so good. She's very funny. It's an easy read, and she's got some amazing messages and tips in there, and I love it. It's a great story as well. Now, of course, the traditional Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read that, absolutely get that one in. And then Denise Duffield Thomas is this sort of money mindset expert. Cannot remember what her book's called. Lucky Bitch or Rich Bitch or something like that. Anyway, look that up on Amazon. Denise Duffield Thomas. It's a great book. Next, change your belief. So whatever your belief is that you've identified, I want you to try and swap that around. So make it the opposite of what it is. So if it's, you know, money is scarce, then you have to do a daily affirmation about money is everywhere. It's not a problem. It's always available. So a good one for me, I used this very much in the beginning, was as I earn more money, I will do things with my money that increase my happiness and the happiness of others. As I earn more money, I will do things with it that increase my happiness and the happiness of others. So that switches around the whole, you know, earning money makes you greedy or makes you unhappy or whatever that is that's been ingrained in us for a long time. Next, I want you to absolutely try your best to value yourself. I mean, this is actually a non-negotiable. You have to value yourself. It's not try your best, just do it. Add up the money you've spent on your training, on your nutrition training, including books and seminars and all those things that you've spent money on. It's probably over 20 grand. It was with me. It was about 20,000 over my 4 years. You didn't ever question the value of that education, did you? So why would you ever question the value you're offering to clients? It's a fraction of that money. They are getting all that knowledge and training from you for a very small fee in comparison. So don't undervalue that. You can't put a price on improving someone's health. You know, if you improve their energy so that they can do more or have better relationships or improve their performance at work or get their weight down so that they feel so much better about themselves, you can't put a price on that. So don't try to, because you know your value is way more than that. And we do more than just telling people what to eat. We look at their whole body so that we're really improving body and mind. Now, if you want to do more on this, there are loads of courses online. There are a plethora of money mindset masters and courses. I would just start with the dailyom.com, dailyom.com. They've got a course. It's called, let me just check. It's called 30 Days to a Positive Money Mindset. And I love the Daily Om courses because they allow you to just donate what you feel is worth. So you can pay anything from, I think the minimum is $12, I think, and then it goes up to £40. Oh, pounds, £12 up to 40. So for 12 quid, you can get 30 days worth of money mindset tips, which I think is definitely a good place to start. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. Do leave comments underneath and do sign up to the YouTube videos so you don't miss any. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care.